Jordan Bowery's hat-trick getting us all up off the sofa against Port Vale, to George Maris bringing the house down on Boxing Day. It's been another unforgettable calendar year following the Stags. From saying goodbye to club legends and an injury splurge, to epic comebacks and the welcome return of the smell of Bovril and the click of the turnstiles, 2021 has been a strange one to say the least. With tonight's trip to Harrogate cancelled thanks to COVID in the Stags camp, we're filling the void by reliving the Boxing Day belter against Hartlepool United and, as per Mansfield Matters tradition, are recapping the last 12 months. As long-term listeners and viewers will know, that comes with a quiz, so get your pen and paper ready. Plus, as we head towards the January window, we'll take a look at how the squad is shaping up, countlessly mention the importance of signing John Joe O'Toole, and much more in between. So, as always, for the final time in 2021, get involved and have your say on your team during the live feed. It's been an absolute honour to be sat here, reliving every single game, from the cool-down post-match reaction show and the general podcast to the Sunday sermon and stag stories. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast, and that was 2021. Get involved, have your say on your team, because Mansfield always matters.
John Joe O'Toole rising high to nod home George Maris's 10th corner of the afternoon on 55 minutes gives Mansfield Town some much needed Boxing Day hope. The next 5 minutes is absolutely pivotal for Mansfield. If he can get a goal and find an opening, this crowd will get behind them and they could go on to win it. Cometh the hour, cometh Jordan Bowery to head Mansfield back into the game after excellent work down the right hand side from Reece Oakes and Elliot Hewitt. Maris the hero, turning things around, dropped his shoulder, dropped his man, had a go and curled the ball into the top bins.
Well, if we have to wait until 15 days between every single game, as long as every single game is like the one we had on Boxing Day, with Mansfield coming out on top, I don't mind that at all. Hello, welcome to the Mansfield Matters podcast. Hope that you're all doing well. It's the final podcast of 2021. We're here to recap that epic Boxing Day victory over Hartlepool United and look back over the calendar year. As always, we want you to get involved in the comments and have your say on your team. And joining me to do so, back from his deathbed, we've got Mr. Clive Parkin. How are you, mate? You feeling better?
I'm getting there. The Grim Reaper didn't take me in the end. He's left me to see the end of the season out, and I'm just happy to be getting out the other side of this. I'm not sort of person that gets cold, so to get one that's lasted nearly 3 weeks is ridiculous. Anyway, nice to be back.
Absolutely nice to have you back as well. Also nice to have him back as well. It's Mr. Nathan Edge, or don't be in Hewitt, Elliot Hewitt. Love that name. He's been working on that. You were working on that on the plane on the way back, weren't you?
Yeah, you could say that. No, it's I thought, the last few weeks I've been dedicating my stream name, haven't I, to a player that's been outstanding. And it's Elliot Hewitt's time, so there we go. Don't be in Hewitt, Elliot Hewitt.
Don't be in Hewitt, Elliot Hewitt. Hopefully, then we'll see the rest of Elliot Hewitt come back to grow and grow and grow over the season. And one thing we did do, obviously, Nathan, you weren't there on Boxing Day. Where were you on Boxing Day? Were you sat by the pool with iFollow on?
I wish it was by the pool. We had no but downpour basically I was there for 10 days and 9 days of that was rain. The day I left, we had, look at the weather app, it was sun for as far as you could see. I couldn't believe it, but so I was very tempted to stay out there. But no, me and my dad and my family was watching it in the villa on iFollow, which was good. Great to sort of be able to watch it out there. Obviously, a few years ago you couldn't do that. And what was also great is that everyone on the same level playing field as me because nobody could see what was happening. So everybody's reliant on, because of the fog, everyone's reliant on audio like me. So
Yeah,
it's all good.
the problem with that though is, mate, when the people that are providing the audio can't see either, that
Yeah.
is also a downside. Honestly, I must have said off air. In fact, I remember. I need to find the clip actually. I said off air to Jason before he came to me for the update. I went, mate, the ball's on the far side, and I haven't got a clue who's got the ball, and I couldn't tell you. And that's before the fog set in. Clive, I'm not. I don't. I don't feel sorry for Nathan at all with rain over the last few days because he still managed to get out of the country and enjoy himself, but he missed an absolute classic on Boxing Day, didn't he?
He did. It's a fair punishment for not being around. I mean, it's very rare you get fog nowadays. Going back years, of course, we used to get an awful lot of fog, especially at the Field Mill, because all the houses down the streets they had smoking chimneys and there were factory chimneys bellowing smoke out, what have you. It was so strange, and it was to my mind, it was touch and go at some point whether the game would survive.
Honestly, I think had the game kicked off an hour later, there's not a chance that would have been played.
No, it was very interesting just to watch a very enjoyable clip from Hartlepool supporters who put a video blog up, and it was obviously taken from the North Stand, and they were all full of glee being 2-0 up, and then they heard this roar from the other end and thought, "Oh shit, that's one goal." And then a few minutes later, "Oh bollocks, that's another one." And they saw nothing at all of the third one. All they heard was the crowd.
Yeah, fun times, and that's exactly what you want. To be honest, I didn't see the linesman flag go up for the offside goal, so I was very, very relieved when Stu Eggleshaw next to me, the scoreboard operator, sort of prodded me in the ribs and sort of pointed over to the far side frantically saying, "There's a flag, there's a flag, there's a flag." So I was very, very grateful of both Mr. Eggleshaw's excellent help as always and that offside flag, Nate, because in truth, as good as we were and dominant as we were with all the chances we had, they had 3 shots and had the ball in the net 3 times.
Yeah, I mean that's that. If it's really weird to say that's a disappointing factor of the game because actually we were so dominant and we played so well. We shouldn't have really been in that situation where we were 2-0 down, should we? But when they got their chances, they took them. So you got to give them some sort of credit for that. But if we took our chances away, they took theirs, we'd have been about 12-0 up and out of sight for after so long. But I mean, despite that, you've got to credit the players for after going 2-0 down, especially when it's against a run of play as it was. Their heads didn't drop, and the fact that we got that goal back so quickly, that I think that was made a big difference because then that gave them the belief, I think, then to go on and think actually we can still go on and win this. And I think the result in the end was fair. I mean, it probably should have been a wider margin if we was really honest, but at least it was a right balance in the fact that we got the 3 points.
Yeah, a couple of comments trickling in already. I'll come to some of them later on because I think they'll fit nicely with some other points that we're going to make later. But keep them coming in. Have your say on your teams, particularly in the next 5 minutes or so on that Boxing Day fixture.
Can I just ask you, have you paid your electricity bill?
Why?
You're all buffering and blurry.
Am I?
You are.
It doesn't look like it to me.
Like
but
it's a
1990s dial-up connection.
Well, I have no idea what that is. I tell you what, I might try and change my camera, but there you go.
This is always could be a disaster if he's going to start
anyway,
changing
just to
things.
fill in,
I was trying to read a comment. Yeah, do that.
They scored 3 goals, and it's their credit they managed to do that. I know one of them was disallowed, and looking back at the video evidence, it was correct decision to disallow it, and the linesman got it spot on. But the fact is, we had a makeshift midfield, and we weren't pressing like we would normally do, and that gave them the opportunity to invade. And we throw in a goalkeeping error and perhaps a little bit of a sluggish right back at the wrong time, and they managed to get their goals from nothing. But on a normal day, we'd have taken their pants down. Have we lost our host?
I feel like you've put a curse on him now because he's gone to change things.
No,
I don't know what happens. Oh no, he's still here. He's here.
I've just got to change a few things.
Would you
around.
like Nathan and I to
Is
sing
he- Carry on
something?
talking.
It can't
I have no idea what
multitask.
he's saying,
That's
so I've unplugged
the
my
issue.
headphones, but he could be saying anything here. But there you go.
Yeah, Craig is a proper. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that bit.
That's better,
Yeah,
Craig.
you would
That's
do.
better.
Yeah, I heard that bit. There we go. I've swapped myself around. I hate it when that happens. Alan says, Happy New Year to you guys. Welcome back to Clive. So pleased for the time-wasting goalie that he lost. Yeah, absolutely. Let's touch upon that a little bit more, and the fact that, I don't know, it was very, very frustrating, the time-wasting goalkeeper. But as you were sort of saying, the character which we showed to come from, that amount of goals down from 2 down to fight back was very, very pleasing indeed, Nath.
Especially the fact that they got that second goal, in the second half. I think, 2-0 at half time, you can go in, can't you, and think, all right, it's going to be tough, but you can try and get the players up for the second half and think, go out there and get an early goal, and you're back in it. But conceding it whilst you're out there, it could have been so easy for the heads to drop and give up in horrible conditions. And I think in previous sort of months, that's exactly what would have happened. But because of the run we've been on of late, the mentality is different in the group, and we fought it back really well, and it's just what their goalkeeper deserved. Just like Salford a couple of weeks ago, he was winding me up, and after 7 minutes after they scored, they started time wasting. I get it towards the end of the game, but not that early on. So whenever that happens, I always do think it's kind of well deserved when teams do that so early on.
Paul says you couldn't see a lot from Quarry Lane during the game, and the wife saw Craig sitting in the car park, by the way, and carrying his heavy cases coming past the Sandy spot. Anyway, just wanted to wish all the players who have got the dreaded COVID all the best and a happy New Year to you guys. Yeah, and to you as well, Paul. As well, it's I think an important thing actually on Sunday. I keep wanting to say Saturday. On Sunday, Clive, was actually the fact that there was a 15-day break. But Mansfield didn't look like they'd been away.
No, and I think if you cast your mind back 2 months, if the situation like this had occurred then, we'd have gone to pieces. We've certainly become far more resolute and far more of a team unit than we were. And I know that's down to some individuals. It's down to hard work on the training ground as much as anything. But a little bit of beliefs emerged, hasn't it? And of course, now we've got this long run of good results that gets even stronger, and for that reason you want the matches on, but obviously you don't want matches on when you're half your team's down with COVID. I mean, am I right in thinking we couldn't fill the bench on Sunday?
Yeah, we only had 5 subs, so it wasn't confirmed before the game that the players had gone down with COVID, but after the game Nigel Clough did confirm that everybody bar the injured players were missing through COVID. So Ollie Clark injured, Danny Johnson injured, but the obviously James Perch injured, Kel Gordon injured. But the ones who didn't take part, you George Lapsley's, your Harry Charlesley's, Stephen Quinn, Richard Narty, goalkeeper George Shelby as well, all COVID related. So 5 of those players out, meaning only, like, as you say, 5 subs on the bench, and 4 of them pretty much young players as well. The only experienced player, in inverted commas, the goalkeeper Marek Steck, who is not even, he's 3rd choice at the minute, as probably in some areas probably 4th choice as well. But it's very, very concerning. And after the game, Nigel Clough was sort of saying, when we were having conversations, that if any more players went down, then that would be it, because they just struggle. And obviously, and clearly, they have, because they were all testing after the game. They were, straight into the dressing room, and they was testing after the game. He said they were coughing and spluttering after the game as well. So it will all depend, Nath, on whether or not some players who were missing on Sunday were positive 3 or 4 days before, because obviously you got the isolation period, I believe, of 10 days, but you can come out after 7, can't you, if you do 2 negatives. So we could have 2 or 3 players back for Saturday, but we just don't know. We weren't given a set date or a set day.
It's impossible to guess as well, because we could get those players back, but then the other 6 or 7 that are out there, they could get it. So you don't know how many more have come down with it. And then also you've got the opposition to think about. Obviously, Rochdale's game has also been postponed. So if there's a new cases, then obviously it's not long now until New Year's Day. So if that might be under the 7-day quarantine period. So, I think obviously it's probably looking very doubtful, which is from our point of view, it's disappointing because we are on such a good run, and we know what happened last year when we missed a few games. And if I'm right in thinking, was that mainly due to weather though? 'Cause I know we had a few
Frozen
issues with our
pitches.
pitch, didn't we? Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was more, more sort of us missing home games due to the frozen pitch. But at least this time, we're not alone in the sense that it's probably why we were so rusty again when we came out of that patch. Whereas this time round, basically everyone's getting games off. Everyone's in the same boat. Everyone's going to be missing players when they do get a game on, because at the moment it's unlikely that teams are at 100%, capacity. So in that sense, hopefully it won't have the same effect as it did last year. And whenever we are able to play again next, we can, hopefully pick up where we left off.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with it. As Paul says in the comments, the government are under pressure to put the self-isolation down to 5 days, but it will then depend on what the EFL do as well. And then you've got to add into the mix, training, match fitness, and all of that stuff as well. I personally, I wouldn't put money on us taking on Rochdale on New Year's Day, which would be a shame because again, it's another long break without a game. The next one after that will be Middlesbrough in the cup, and it's going to be hard enough to get a result in that one, whilst it's doable, but to go and try and get a result after another enforced break where we won't have trained much because we're not really training much to try and avoid, spreading cases because of, the prime example is what we've got 3 or 4 players out, and with 3 or 4 players per dressing room hub at the training ground, it's no coincidence really, is it, when you think about it, Nath?
No, that's what I mean. It's chances are there probably will be more over time, and the challenging thing for us if the Rochdale game doesn't go ahead, like you say, the next game in Middlesbrough, and at the moment they're playing, so and then they're going to have a bigger squad and things like that. So it does, it was already going to be a tough game, and it does put us a slight disadvantage again with when it comes to that. But that's football. Other teams have bigger squads, etc. That's just part and parcel of the game. But the fact that they it's looking like they maybe just continue as they are, still playing. We are at a slight disadvantage going into that, but it's just something we just have to deal with, isn't it? And hope that hopefully everyone is back to full fitness, and maybe the bonus of it all will be that we'll get some of these injured players back, which who would have missed a few games otherwise.
Yeah, and the positives, as Jim says in the comments, are that if we don't play until Middlesbrough, that everyone bar 2 or 3 should be then available. However, Christmas and New Year with no footy is like nativity with no baby. Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. It's a concern that things are going to be backing up, and January's already looking quite busy. The Middlesbrough game will take priority if that doesn't manage to go ahead. The blessing is that there's no replay. It'll all be done in one night. But I think if any more games fall by the wayside, I think perhaps you've got to look at maybe an extension to the season by a week or so, just to try and add those in. Craig in the comments says, just out of interest, if Mansfield or Borough had COVID in the squad causing postponements, would they rearrange the game or would the other team go through? Interesting debate on this one, isn't it? Because they've taken away the replay stage at round 3 and 4 to try and minimise the COVID thing, with top flight teams being a little bit, we've got too many games coming up, we can't cope with it, even though we've got squads of about 50. Bless him. So there is the potential date when a replay would have been, the 10 days after the week on Tuesday. But that's an interesting one. I mean, I would be furious if that happened, because nobody wants to progress in that way, whether it was us, Clive, that went out for that, or Middlesbrough. Either way, I want to see that game played, because we've got to that point we deserve to take them on.
Yeah, it would require a change of the rules. The FA would have to write a new rule book around that problem area. I mean, they wouldn't dispel a team if their pitch wasn't playable, for instance. They'd rearrange the fixture. And at some point,
or weather,
they may offer to, if both teams are in agreement, to play it on the opposition ground. But that's in the rule book.
Haven't they done it previously? Just jumping out, isn't that what the problem is? Haven't they done that previously, where due to COVID, if a team's unable to field a team, then that team basically forfeits because it's a cup match? I think that's where the comment's coming from, because it's already happened. are they going to do that this season? So there's a possibility. And I think
you've got the
without us
advantage
looking
of
at the
me
rule
there
book-
because I've not heard that, but
Yeah,
I think it would be wrong on so many levels.
Craig's clarified it. He said Leighton Orient had to bypass in the League Cup. So I don't know.
I think it's still well. I don't know for sure. So it's going to be a matter of looking at the the rule book for this, and they change every season, don't they? But I've got a feeling it's happened earlier on as well in the in the qualifying stages. So on that note, you'd think it would still apply, but it could change, couldn't it? When Premier League teams come in, because obviously they want to favour them. So I don't know, but it could be a possibility. So
I think it's highly unlikely that should happen. In fairness. But I mean, the pressure on the team that's suffering from COVID is to try and get a team out there, regardless of whether it's the team they would normally pick. And at our level, we don't have the team, we don't have the squad numbers to do that properly.
Judging by what Nigel Clough in his comments, on and off air, it basically sort of said, if we can get at least 5 subs, a team and 5 subs will play. So it's just a case of we've clearly got diminished numbers at the minute, and the risk is too much. I would have hated for us to go to Rochdale or gone to Harrogate tonight and only had 3 subs available, because that's huge pressure. Because you get a suspension, you get an injury in that, you're done for even more. So it didn't make sense in that respect. But certainly, I think if we've got 5 subs available, I think he'll have a go. So he's not the type of manager that's happy to have games off. He wants to get it playing. But on that point of if you've got COVID in your camp, you can't play your game, therefore you forfeit your space. We need to check the rules, obviously, but I'd still be furious, Nath. I'd still be furious.
Well, I mean, it could work out the other way around, couldn't it? And it could be Middlesbrough that forfeited him. But like you say, it's that's not what the FA Cup is, isn't it? It's a bit like how the season last year was finished with points per game and things like that, and a lot of people for it, but a lot of people were against it because it should be not last season before, sorry. So it should be, determined by what happens on the pitch, not what happens by a computer algorithm or what happens by default due to some ruling. They should give it every opportunity to be played, and let that be decided on the pitch, even if it does mean, it's going to be harder for us in a sense that we've got to go out and be a championship side. But that's what football is. That's what it is. So I hope to see. I hope that game gets played one way or another.
I'm going to bring it back to Boxing Day, and then we're going to get some post-match reaction from Nigel Clough and the man who I'm sure will be talking about in more depth very, very shortly indeed, John Joe Toole. Fantastic to come down from 2 goals down to win the game, to continue the winning run. Excellent, squad mentality and things like that. But one of the things which pleased me the most, Clive, I think, is the fact that we've got that fighting spirit about us, and we've seemed to have this team cohesion at the minute, which just seems to go on and go on and push us on. And to get that in front of your fans, it really, really wrapped the year up nicely and put us in a very good position, and one which we perhaps didn't think we'd be in 2 or 3 months ago.
No, and I think 2 or 3 months ago, the little bit of luck we needed wouldn't have been there. So, plus we don't think we had John Joe O'Neill in the side either. So I think O'Toole is a jockey, John Joe O'Neill, for those of you who don't know. Where's Craig gone?
I'm there. I'm still here.
It was your John Joe O'Neill.
John Joe O'Toole with us then. And I think we're going to talk about JJ, and he's been absolutely mint with his presence since he's been a regular player in the side. And we must move heaven and earth to get him signed up. That's my view on him. But I have to say, I was sat in my normal seat watching the game, and I got that horrible feeling when they went 2-0 up. I'm thinking, we've had all the game, we've made all the chances, and we're 2-0 down. It's going to be one of those days. And then I made a profound statement to my son. I said, for us to get 2 or 3 goals, we've got to score 1 first. And then in the mist, there it was, a goal from JJ.
On the FA Cup, Martin says it's down to the discretion of the FA, and the game is rescheduled if it can be. So,
great.
Yeah, so, that fills me with a bit more confidence. But...
Does it? No, it doesn't me. Basically, if it's us, they'll just think, it's only a little Mansfield. They can forfeit. If it's Middlesbrough with the players out, we'll move it back 2 weeks, see if we can get it in there. That's how it'll be. Sorry, I'm being cynical, aren't I?
The words there of Nathan Edge and not Mansfield Matters, although Craig agrees, Clive probably agrees, and everybody else probably agrees as well. Let's go back again to Boxing Day. We're going to talk John Joe O'Toole very, very shortly indeed. But first, we're going to hear from him and Nigel Clough, who spoke to me from Mansfield 103.2 after the game, after the Stags had come from 2 goals down to beat Hartlepool United 3-2 at the One Call Stadium, thanks in no small part to a very, very brave linesman on the far side who saw through the mist to raise that offside flag. Usually fans' Christmas witches are 3 points on Boxing Day. Was yours that offside flag going up in the 91st minute?
3 points, and that led to, or the offside flag led to the 3 points and ensured it. But over the course of the game, we deserved it. I think he probably, I haven't seen it back, but the lads in the back four said he was offside. And I thought over the course of the game, if it was a break, then we deserved it. Could you see it from where you were? Because we were struggling from just above you. I couldn't see the flag go up, no. I could hardly see the linesman diagonally away in that corner there. The fog seemed to be worse over that far side, actually. So couldn't quite see it, but once he disallowed it, we were mightily relieved.
As Boxing Day games go, that was an absolute classic, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. I thought right from the first few minutes, and even when we went 2-0 down, I thought we were playing well, we were creating chances and situations. I said to the players at half time, the only thing's wrong is we conceded a soft goal, but from their point of view I thought it was a good goal, build up, and we missed chances. We missed 3 gilt-edged chances in the first half before they scored.
Yeah, 12 corners as well for your side today, absolutely knocking on the door in the first half. If it had gone in from Rawson's header, it could have been a completely different contest altogether.
That's it, and then he had another great chance from the free kick, and then Jordan had one at the far post almost identical to the one he scored in the second half. So that was all that was missing, a little finish.
Of course, games have been falling left, right and centre with COVID today. We had the fog to contend with as well and a few COVID cases within our camp. Was there any danger that this one might not have gone ahead today?
If we'd lost another 1 or 2, then certainly we wouldn't have been able to put the required number out there. I think it's 13 and a goalkeeper. We got 14 and a goalkeeper today, so we're pretty close to it. We lost 3 players this morning, 8 altogether now, injury and illness. And there's a few downstairs coughing and spluttering with the symptoms, so we'll test them and see how we are for that later this week.
Is it a case between now and Harrogate then of just sort of keeping away from each other and just sort of getting that recuperation in?
Definitely, but we've got to come in and we've got to do a little bit of training and whatever. But as soon as the players are in the changing room down there together now, it's very, very difficult, as you see from the many fixtures that have been cancelled. It's very difficult to constrain it.
Let's talk about the 2 which came in. Let's start with Jason Law. I thought he was absolutely outstanding today.
Yeah, I got a call this morning saying that we'd lost, I can't remember, it was George Lapsley and Stephen Quinn, both came quite close together. And then it was sort of, we wanted to try and keep the formation. Originally we had Ollie Hawkins up top and John Joe O'Toole at centre half. And then I was out walking the dog this morning and then you have to sort of change a little bit, and I just thought Jason's been very, very good in training the last 2-3 weeks. I thought, well, we want to try and stick with the same formation, we'll just rejig it a little bit, put Jordan up top with Oatsy. I thought they were good up there together, and we'll just play him behind and get him on the ball as much as we can.
And the other one, of course, you mentioned was John Joe O'Toole, can play absolutely anywhere. The big question on everybody's lips at the minute is what's the situation with the contract deal?
We're trying, I think we're pretty close with it, we're not too far off. He has got other offers from other clubs, but I think he enjoys it. He scored a few very important goals for us as well, and we'll be doing everything we can to persuade him to stay.
3 goals in 11 minutes in that second half. What did you say to the boys at the half time? So they came out a different side.
I thought we played well all in the first half, we just missed the chances. I said try not to concede the second, and we'll wait and we'll keep playing and we'll still create. And then when we conceded the second, a little bit subdued, but I thought once we got the first one back, I thought we'd get at least a point from the game.
And of course we go again on Wednesday night, a trip to Harrogate. Already been there once this season in the Papa John's Trophy. What are you expecting from them on Wednesday night?
Well, I haven't played for a couple of weeks, I haven't played today, so Harrogate have been a little bit of a bogey team for us, I think, in the last 18 months, so I don't think it'll be any different with their work rate, which is exceptionally good.
I expect any players to be back that were missing today for that one, or do you think they'll be ruled out of it?
No, there's nobody who's missing today. The injuries won't be back, and the ones who obviously have tested positive have got to do 7 days.
Let's end on a positive though, and that was again the fans tremendous. Started 2021 at home with no fans in the stadium, finished it with fans absolutely rocking. That must be beautiful for you to see as a manager.
It was great, nearly 6,000 in today, and I thought the good away following as well made for a great atmosphere. It always does. There's not many away fans or whatever, but there's a good following from Hartlepool. Our fans were brilliant, and when we scored the 3rd goal, the noise, 6,000 sounds like 60 in this place.
JJ, that was absolutely epic to watch. What was it like to play in?
Yeah, brilliant. Really, really good game to play in. Sometimes Boxing Days are a little bit funny games to play, and they can go either way. It's a bit of a balance with family life and all that, but it's great for the fans, and I think they got their money's worth today. Going two goals down, obviously not ideal, but to come back was just brilliant. Just shows character we have in that dressing room, even with a few lads out, few like sort of regular players out, so it just shows how good we can be.
Yeah, and we talk about drama as well. 91st minute, talk us through it from the pitch perspective. Nigel Clough couldn't really see it from where he was. We certainly could it. What did you see of it from being in the heart of it?
My initial reaction was just gutted, really. I think might have happened is the lad that was offside, he started offside.
That's the Hartlepool manager, if you couldn't guess.
I think they had a lad offside, and I think he interfered with play, which I thought might have happened. So that's the only thing I can think of.
And from coming from 2 goals down, like you said, it was absolute class in terms of the character of the squad. How important has that been from you? You've only been here like a couple of months. How much have you seen that grow in that time you've been here?
Yeah, massively. I can't comment too much on what it was like before, but from the day I started training here, I knew that there was a lot of good things in that dressing room, and a little bit sort of perplexed why it weren't doing better. Just like I said, it sometimes just takes a little while to click, and you go through phases and spells where you're not quite at it, and we've got the momentum now, we're doing well, we just want it to continue now. We've got to make the most of the spell that we're in. You get good spells, bad spells, but you've got to make the most of the momentum when you have it. Yeah,
you say we as well, obviously, we've still got to work out a deal for yourself. Are you hopeful to sign on the dotted line and become a Stag for the rest of the season?
Yeah, hopefully. Obviously, I've really enjoyed my time here. Just hopefully get something sorted. I've sort of getting a couple of little offers elsewhere, so I've got to look after my family, and I've got to seriously consider them as well. But listen, hopefully we get something sorted.
And on to Harrogate on Wednesday night as well. As you said, players dropping left, right and centre before the game. What does it say about the character of the boys to go through, even with only 5 subs, all young lads as well? What does it say about the character to get through and get results like that?
Yeah, brilliant. Like it's obviously a team game. I think people sometimes forget that it's just the starting 11, but the subs and the squad players are important as anyone. They can win or lose your games. When you need them to come on and do well, they're there for you. When you've got injuries, you really need them. So you need everyone in a season. So we've got great strength and character in that dressing room.
Last couple from me. You've played centre half, played centre mid today. Have you got a preference where you want to play? Are you just happy to be out there and contributing to the team with that experience you've got?
Yeah, a bit of a tough one. I've sort of had it in my head. I wanted to get back to midfield, and obviously today I felt like I'd done quite well and obviously scored as well. So, but I enjoy playing centre half as well. It just sort of depends the game. Obviously it helps when you score, you're playing centre mid and your lads are doing well and we're getting on it and whatever else. But I don't know, I'll play anyway.
And your goal sparked the comeback today. The fans rose off their seats when the ball went in the back of the net. What's your final message to them as they end 2021 here at home with a victory, the final home game of the calendar year?
Yeah, no, I just hope they enjoy it. They was right behind us from the get-go. They've been brilliant with all the boys and like myself as well since I've been here, and I hope they're enjoying it. We're enjoying this form we're in, and hopefully it continues.
It's John Joe O'Toole speaking to me after the game on Boxing Day for Mansfield 103.2. Obviously recorded prior to the postponement tonight, where we should have been playing Harrogate this evening, but obviously COVID in the Stags camp mean that is no more. Also featuring the Hartlepool manager, the bitter Graham Lee, in there, who spat his dummy out the pram and went, "It was a goal, it was a goal, it was a goal." Yes, very unprofessional, Graham. Anyway, moving on, we will talk more about Mr. O'Toole, who, as I switch my camera again, Mr. O'Toole, who again, we heard in that interview, Nath, that he's keen to sign. Other offers on the table, though. We've got to offer him everything in our power, haven't we, to get that deal over the line?
I'd say so. I mean, my name on here says don't be in it. Well, we've got the right tool. We just need to get him signed on. So that was awful, wasn't it? But no, I think everyone's been people say in the comments. It's said after each week in, week out. He's been a big difference since he signed. He's the fact that he can slot into defence, which for a lot of the season we've been short on numbers, and obviously having to put Hawkins back there as well. So having him come in and experience has been a massive help. But the fact that he can also move into midfield makes another big difference. He's versatile. So I think we've got to be. We know we had a budget there for Tom Naylor, which didn't happen. I don't think we've really used that budget up from who came in afterwards, really. So I'd be, I'd say gamble. I don't think it's much of a gamble. I think it's quite a safe gamble. I'd be laying a bit more down from him if we need to.
I think it's an absolute no-brainer. Simon in the comments says, I hope we can sign JJ, but like the Tom Naylor situation, it won't be JJ's choice, what he wants to do. It'll be his agent. For me, Clive, he's absolutely key. I think as a club, we might be trying to offer him until the end of the season, but I think he, given his age and things like that, will probably want an 18-month deal. He warrants an 18-month deal for me.
Yeah, I would. I'd certainly sign him up for next season if that sweetens the pill enough for him as well. But in terms of money, all right, yeah, we don't know what the budget was and how much of it's been spent or unspent. But one thing's for sure, we're running about 1,000 fans a home game more than we budgeted for in terms of expectation. So there's some liquidity there that wasn't expected. It should allow us to spend money we didn't anticipate. And there's nothing more important now as far as this club's development is concerned than to maintain the progress that we've made since Mr. O'Toole arrived. And I'm not giving all the credit to him, but it just happened to be timely. And I remember you and I discussing his arrival outside Exeter's ground. I made the same ridiculous joke about John Joe O'Neill then. It's obviously stuck in my head. But he didn't play that game. But I mean, afterwards, once he started to figure in the team, he has made a huge difference. And when you look at the man, you wouldn't mess with him, would you?
No,
you remember the opposition, you'd say, "Yeah, I'll let him win this one."
Yeah, I mean, very nice bloke to talk to. Didn't throttle Graham Lee, which I was disappointed at. But joking aside, he's certainly coming. He offers that different position wise, and that's why I sort of asked him the question about where do you prefer yourself playing, and I sort of got the impression, Nath, that the position in which he's playing might play on his mind as well. If a manager comes in and sort of says, we want you to play in midfield, or we want you to play in the number 10 role. And we give you an 18-month deal, I can see that maybe swaying it from a little bit, because Nigel Clough will see him predominantly as a centre-back rather than a centre-mid, because we are overloaded with them who perhaps come ahead of him, and because we don't have a centre-back of sorts. So that might be another factor to consider.
Well, I mean, probably more favoured a centre-back at the moment just because of, like you say, the numbers. I slightly disagree a little bit about you sort of would say on paper you'd think that the midfield is sorted and those players will be ahead of him, but actually at the moment his performance would probably put him ahead of a couple of others. So based on recent performances, I think he could easily step into that midfield, into a midfield space and well have earned it as well. So you don't know, that could be part of his thinking. I guess it's towards the end of his career as well. So you don't know, certain players who might want to play for certain clubs at some points in their careers if he hasn't done it yet. There's all sorts of things that might go into his decision making. But like you said earlier, I think most of us be in agreement that we really just need to do whatever we can to get him signed. And if it is a slightly longer contract, then let's gamble, because he's certainly shown what he can bring to the team. And it's just, you look at it the opposite way. If we don't get him signed, I'm then a bit deflated going into January. We had a relatively bad sort of January last year. I don't want a repeat of that, and it kind of would feel like if we did that and we didn't bring anybody in to sort of replace him at that sort of caliber, it just leaves a bit of a bad taste. Whereas if we get him in, it's like an extra boost, isn't it, for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'd go along with that, Clive, because, like you say, it's no coincidence the results have picked up and coincided with him coming into the team and him helping to solidify where we are defensively and sort of closing things up. But everywhere he's been as well, he's a regular, solid player. 50 odd games for Watford. 50 odd games for Colchester, Bristol Rovers, same thing again. Northampton over 170 odd games. Burton, nearly 50 games. Ozzy's starting to be a regular player now as well. And it's that experience side of things which we've missed and which we haven't had. And it's certainly filled that void. And I would, for one, be absolutely gutted. It would come as a hammer blow if he were to go elsewhere. We wouldn't blame him, of course, because you know you've got to do what's right. I'm in a similar situation myself, changing jobs and things like that in the new year. You've got to do what's right for yourself. But you know, we want him for us, don't we? We want to be greedy.
It's towards the end of his career, Craig. That's sort of arguable. The best he's going to get is a full season's contract somewhere, I would imagine.
Yeah.
But let's go backwards. He was kicking his heels training at Stevenage when we took him on. Now, that's not to say that Stevenage wouldn't have had him, but they hadn't got the finances to do it. So I think we were a blessing for him as well as he for us. I think there's another ingredient in terms of signing him on a more permanent basis. And that's what's the real prognosis? Does anybody know about James Purchase likely playing next season?
Well, it's a difficult one with Perch, isn't it? Because it's not an injury you can see and really predict. It's one of those which, you know, he might be fit enough to train come next season, but then one knock might set him backwards. But also, given his age and where he is he going to want to continue? It's like playing devil's advocate, isn't it, Nath? You're trying to fight fire with petrol in some respects. You just can't predict it.
Yeah, I mean, with it being a sort of head injury, you kind of would think if it was, you know, a serious injury to sort of your legs, for example, or your ankles, or you know those sort of ligaments, or obviously bone fractures and things like that. Then as a player, you think they would be harder to overcome in a sense at such a towards the end of the career. Whereas head injuries, different ball game in a sense. That obviously you have to be sort of extra careful, but does that stop you from playing football once that's deemed safe enough to return? So, if because of that, I'm hopefully he has got at least another season in him next year, and we're able to see what he can do with us. But obviously, we don't know. At the very least, I hope he's involved in the club in some sort of coaching capacity if that's what he's interested in, or something, because he's I think he's got a lot to give to us in that sense. But only time will tell, and I don't think he'll even know at this stage. Never mind us be able to second guess it.
Yeah, also out of contract in the summer as well, James Perch. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. As Gary says, listening to your interview, I would be amazed if he didn't sign a cracking player who fills the void left by Perch's injury. And Alan says, do we know who's sniffing around him? Doncaster was one. Anyone know who else? Not sure. Let's just
Bradford City. They go for everybody at this time.
Of course they do.
Season.
Of course they do. Let's just kidnap his agent and stop him from signing from anywhere else. Let's just be proactive with it for once. Let's be proactive. Who was it that asked earlier in the show? Jim asked earlier in the show, who would you like to see signed in January, JJ aside? Because I think a lot of our focus right now, Nath, is probably on O'Toole. We want that to be the first signing announced, really. But, we can't hide away from the fact that we need players in other areas too.
Yeah, so, I mean, picking actual names out there, I think is quite difficult to do, especially as we've gone over basically every season when we get to the stage. We all know how difficult a January transfer window is. And again, this will be no different. So it's always tough, but I think we maybe pin it down to position-wise and where we probably need to strengthen. And for me, you're probably going to say a striker at the moment, and obviously probably a defender if we do lose O'Toole, and obviously Will Forrester doesn't extend his loan. So there's two players there that you could say are defenders, because I'd love to see Hawkins back up there at some point. I want him to be back up top in an original position. So, but in order to do that, we need to first of all bolster that defence, and I still feel like we need one more up top, because obviously, hopefully we have Danny Johnson back soon, which will be a boost. But we always seem to have at least one missing, don't we? At one point, one or two go missing at the same time. So that's the positions for me where I think we probably need to boost it a little bit.
A little bit like countdown for me, Clive. One up top, one at the back as well. What about you?
I'll have 5 from the middle, if you don't mind. If we've got plenty of good midfielders, we don't need strikers.
Oh dear.
Let's be fair. We are turning some decent results around at the moment with a less than effective strike pairing. And even if our injured striker gets back in play, he needs to find some form that he hadn't done previously, to be fair. I think Greasy Notes has done incredibly well. His work rate is fantastic, and he was knackered when he came off on Boxing Day. And Tyrese came on and sat on the pitch as he normally does. We are thin on the ground in terms of real strikers, but we are still winning games. So I think it's too easy to panic over that. And it depends on the format of the game. It depends on how we supply these strikers if we've got them. So you could have your best two strikers in the world in the middle of the park. If they don't get served properly, they're not going to score that many goals. And that's one of the problems that, and very unfairly, Barry was often criticised by fans for not being on the end of a ball. Well, there's no ball to be on the end of most of the time. In fact, he was spending most of his time going back to midfield to pick up a ball to try and start the whole process off. So we've moved forward, and I think, some of the negativity around Bowery has disappeared quite rightly. And I think we just have to have some of these people who have been unfit, who are getting back to fitness, and people to come through, hopefully unscathed through COVID. That's all we need. And I wouldn't panic if we didn't sign anybody in January, provided the other things happened.
I think I would panic a little bit. I think given our transfer window history, etc., Nath, I think I would a little bit. I think you hit the nail on the head with the Forrester thing and O'Toole, losing both of them. Yes, obviously Forrester's out at the minute, but it's nice to know that he's there in the background for when he's ready and back fit. The other big question is Kellen Gordon. What on earth is happening there? Obviously still out injured at the minute, but we every time we seem to get an update on it, it seems to say 2 weeks. So 2 to 3 weeks, and that was about 7 months ago. So that's an issue which needs addressing as well, because you take Elliot Hewitt out of the equation, and again, you're looking at players like Jordan Bowery or George Lapsley to play at full back and wing back.
Yeah, and it's a bit like the Hawkins situation, isn't it? They might be able to go and fill in there, but then you're losing an attacking threat. So, I do agree with Clive to a certain extent. Obviously, I think I said a striker and a defender. The striker would be a secondary sort of target. For me, I think Boxing Day is a good example why the defence is still a bit of a priority, even though you could argue it's a good forward play from Hartlepool. But we are still. We are still shipping goals, quite easily at times. The good news is we're not losing games. We're managing to still win games, which is great. But we're probably all going to hit a spell where that's going to dry up. So we do need to tighten up back there still. Like I say, if we do lose O'Toole and Forrester, that's two players there. You then got to basically rely on Hawkins staying back there for the remainder of the season, which not the end of the world. But then again, losing that a different player to go up top. And that's not taken into consideration any other injuries. So, I'd definitely be looking at a minimum one defender, and that's got to be a minimum. And preferably, if you can get one with a bit of versatility who can cover on the right as well, then that would fit all, wouldn't it? But I think, O'Keefe. He's back in January, Craig. I keep saying the name. We know he ain't going to be playing, is he? But
no.
It's something that on that right hand side and central defence, I think we've got to look at, especially if O'Toole and Forrester do disappear.
Put it this way:
sorry to interrupt, chaps. You'd have to ask yourself who out there is available in January that would improve the quality in those areas we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's a bit of a balancing act for me. I don't think it's priority is to try and improve it, but also I think you've got to look at the plan B side of it, which is making sure you've got the numbers there anyway. Especially, I think attacking options more than anything else, because you look at recent weeks, you take Danny Johnson out of the equation, you've got Hawkins playing at the back. You're looking at Sinclair and James Gale to come off the bench and help you out and things like that. Jim in the comments talking about defensive options has put Piergini's name in the mix again, the Oldham skipper. I don't think I'd be massively my seat for that one, to be honest. I think he'd do a job and cover, but I don't think he's better than what we've got. O'Toole, Forrester. Nigel says, hasn't Forrester's deal ended? Well, it ends in January. Not sure on what the date is. We'll have to wait and see on that, whether it be early Jan, mid Jan, because it could, January's a wider net, isn't it? And Martin says Clough said that Kellen Gordon not back anytime soon. So yeah, I think we've got to look at Certainly got to look at that, which will be interesting to see.
Is
how
Danny
that
getting
plays
a
out.
regular match at Northampton at the moment?
Oh, you would say his name when I'm on the wrong camera, so I can't play the clip.
Good.
Nathan's going to have to sing it.
Are you talking for him to come back in defence as well? Is that where you're going with this?
No, I'd stick him up front. And I'm
Best
not
defender
being.
we had. Always the best defender we had.
I'm not being totally serious either. I don't think he should come back, but it strikes me we have let go some quality and replaced them with not so good a quality on more than one occasion. And I can understand the reasons behind it from a checkbook point of view. And we've had to do the things that ideally we wouldn't have wanted to do, which is to let seasoned players go. But we are where we are. I think what we've got is a good team, but it isn't. The only problem we've got is numbers, isn't it? At the end of the day, if we can't fill a bench, we have a numbers problem. And you're right. If we had anything in the way of further bad luck in the back line, we'd have a real problem there. We can scramble around and score goals from midfield if we haven't got two potent strikers on board. But you're right. If you've got to, I think Craig's has got it right. If you've got to buy somebody in at the moment, you've got to find a central defender or a fullback anyway.
Jim's added for Piergini, he would get Hawks back up top. He would, yeah, but who's better between Hawkins and Piergini at centre half? And for me, it's Hawkins. Perch. I think the whole thing with Piergini as well is, obviously Oldham are in trouble as well. We tried to go for him in the August window, in the summer window on deadline day. Bid accepted and then turned down at the last minute. So they're going to want money for him. And to be honest, I think there are better players out there that we could be spending our money on, aka giving O'Toole a longer contract. Because let's not forget that O'Toole's signing came about because we didn't get Piergini on deadline day. We got the two loan players in, both of which were injured, and then we needed to look elsewhere, and it came up. So I'd spend that money on having Mr. O'Toole in the back line. Gary adds, we should be looking at a goalkeeper. Bish is on loan and will be gone by the end of the season. A goalie to settle in for next season. It's an important point, that, Nath, which we perhaps, what's the word? Skated
Overlooked.
over a little bit. Yeah, overlooked. That'll do. I'll go with that.
I mean, you could say, not necessarily for me. I think, it's a different ballgame. If he gets injured, then God help us, that's a different kettle of fish, even though he may not have had the best of games.
Could you imagine if he got COVID?
Well, precisely. I mean,
imagine if he had tested positive before Boxing Day and Steck would have had to play.
He'd have played
more worried about Shelby, to be honest.
Played a blinder, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean,
he's not a bad goalkeeper, Steck.
No,
it's just strange circumstances that find him where he is.
Yeah, very strange circumstances.
But as far as a keeper, I mean, it's not like Bishop. I think keepers can settle in. I mean, it depends on player to player, doesn't it? I think keepers can settle in a bit quicker than outfield players at times. Bishop came in and he came in late as well. Let's not forget from training from United, and I wouldn't say he had any settling in issues really, did he? So I think the thing is with goalkeepers, it's easier to recruit them over the summer because they do tend to come out of contract a lot more, don't you? You don't see many keepers bought for a fee, do you, these days? So
no.
Unless you look at the higher levels, so certainly down at our level, you're going to be getting the ones out of contract in the summer. So I would maybe more be looking at maybe another backup keeper for the remainder of the season. I don't know whether Shelby's just to January after the season without looking. So
it was a season-long loan, with Shelby, but it depends on. You say that, but also it depends on. Forest have changed the manager. It depends on what status they want now. He was coming here to compete for the number one spot, and Nathan Bishop's been immovable. So they might want Shelby to go down a level and to get some football. So there's that to contend with. Yeah, it does. And like I said a few months back, I'm not as worried about it now because of where we are. But had we been still getting the poor results, I would have been worried about Bishop going back as well. As Susan says in the comments, would love to see Nathan Bishop sign permanently at the end of the season. Me as well, but I don't see it. I think he's one of United's prize young assets in their academy club. I think we'll have a real struggle to see him more than this season, unless we go up.
Well, and a lot depends on what's happening at Manchester United, doesn't it? I mean, they've got a senior management turnaround as well, and they've got a huge squad, and probably got about 5 or 6 keepers. They're all fighting for position in some form of league table there. I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't available for another season's loan to somebody. Whether it would be us depends on where we are. So I think your point's right. If we get promoted or we challenge very seriously for promotion, we're a different team to be lending an asset to than we've been for the first half of the season.
It's another Tyler Walker, I think, for me with him. I think he'll have a season with us, and then I'll play. It'll be a season with us if we go up, and I think Tyler Walker would have come back to us again if we did get promoted that season and was up in League One. Because obviously he then went to was it Lincoln he went to in the end?
Yeah.
So obviously in League One. So I think that'll be the same for Bishop. I think he, if he continues to have a good season with us, they'll then again test him back at League One. It wasn't that long ago since they bought him from Southend, and I think they paid money for him. So I'd be very surprised.
No, he was on loan. It was on loan at Southend in League One from United.
Was he? I thought he was playing for them, and then they bought him, and then loaned him.
No, he was on loan at Southend. Yeah.
Well, whatever. But I still think he's going to be tested again at maybe another higher level next season. So, but hopefully that could be with us.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Mark says, I would like to see a new left back and get McLaughlin further forward, as I don't think he's a great defender. Simon says, if we put Hawkins back up front, which he's not played there since we went on this run, we would go back to this long ball tactics instead of this good along the floor football we're playing at the moment. Played there at Crawley, didn't he? Played up top at Crawley and had the assist for Reece Oates' goal. I just think it's about getting the right balance, really. It's one of those... Oh, sorry, I apologise and bow down to you, Nath. I apologise. I'll just finish my point about Hawkins up top. I think it's one of those where you've just got to get the right balance and try and find where's best the defender. He said in an interview, didn't he, a few weeks ago, actually, that he thought he'd be playing at centre-back for the rest of the season and didn't really mind. So there is that. So, again, I'm going to bow down to Nathan, which I hate doing. And Martin says, thanks for this, Martin. You've ruined my year. Only joking. No, he was permanent at Southend and Man United signed him from Southend. All right. So I bow down to you, Nathan. I apologise, but I'm going to dock your points in the quiz. That's all we've got time for in terms of talking about transfer windows. I'm sure we'll talk more about it as the next month or so goes on. But Clive and Nathan, it's time to get yourself a pen and paper or a MacBook, depending on which of you are, and play along with the annual. I know you've all been looking forward to this. It's time for the annual end of calendar year Mansfield Matters quiz.
It's not fair.
Why is it not fair?
I know everything and remember nothing.
Well, that's also not my issue, but there you go. This is 10 questions all about the last calendar year. Plenty of points to be won. Head-to-head between Nathan and Clive. We'll see who wins. You guys can play along at home as well. Grab yourself a piece of paper. If you're listening to the audio version of this and not watching it live, get yourself a bit of paper, play along. We'll give the answers at the end to see who wins. Nathan, I can't remember who won out of you and Cam last year, but obviously it must have been Cam because... he's not bothered turning up to defend his title.
No, obviously it was me and he's scared of losing again, so let's do it.
Yeah, that's probably more accurate, to be fair. It's more accurate. Okay, so here we go then. Question number 1 in the That Was 2021 quiz is... Jordan Bowery grabbed the headlines with his first career hat-trick as the Stags kicked off the year with a 4-0 win. But who else scored on that day for 1 point? And for another point, who were the opponents? Nathan's tapping along. Clive's writing it down. I think Clive knows. There was a huge clue in the intro to the show, by the way, if you were listening.
We don't listen to you.
No, I noticed. Question number 2. January and February saw the feeling of stop-start as game after game after game was postponed for a variety of reasons, mainly the weather. In that period, how many games were postponed for 1 point? And for a bonus point per team, name the teams. January and February only. January and February saw the feeling of stop-start as game after game after game was postponed for a variety of reasons. In that period, how many were postponed? 1 point for that, and a bonus 1 point per team.
How many teams do you want us to name?
Well, depends how many games got called off, doesn't it?
All 13. All 13.
Or does it? That could be a clue as well.
Oh, yeah.
Question number 3.
Chelsea.
Definitely not. Between February and the start of April, the Stags only managed 2 wins. For 3 points, name the teams, the scorelines, and all the Stags goal scorers in those wins. For 2 points, name the teams and the scorelines. Or for 1 point, name just the teams. So you can have a range of points.
How many?
This isn't fair. I've had a child this year, so I remember nothing.
And I've had a bad cold.
I've had COVID. I win.
I've had 3 jobs.
You win.
You made the
Thank
quiz.
Oh, yeah.
So
You've got the answer.
Can I have the question again? Don't overcomplicate it with the options. It was February and April. Did you tell me how many games it was?
2 wins.
We had 2 wins in February and April.
So for 1 point, just name the teams. For 2 points, name the teams and the score lines. And for 3 points, name the team score lines and all the Stags goal scorers.
How do you spell Stuttgart?
God's sake. Question 4. I'll give you a bit of time on this one.
Sure.
The Stags ended the 2020-2021 campaign with a 3-0 win over Port Vale. For 1 point per player, name the starting lineup that day.
Jesus Christ.
You knew that question was coming. You knew there was one of them in there as well.
You know, if you get offered a job as a quizmaster, turn it down.
Bit awkward. Might need to check my contract. Stags ended 2020-21 campaign with a 3-0 win over Port Vale. For 1 point per player, name the starting lineup that day. And as Clive and Nathan try and rack their brains, and as you do at home.
Got the goalie.
Well, or have you? That could be an interesting one. As they do that, obviously the trip tonight to Harrogate was off. But at the moment, as we speak at 7 minutes past 7 on this Wednesday night, Saturday's game at Rochdale is still on. Highly doubt it will be, though. However, best to be prepared. And if you want to travel with the SSA, they've got some seats available on their coaches. 07967 689 597 is the number to call. 07967 689 597. £15 for Amber members, £20 for Blue members, £25 for non-members. Departure time, should the game go ahead, 10:30 a.m. And remember that the home game to Middlesbrough later in the month on the 8th of Jan has been brought forward to a 12:15 kickoff now and not 12:30 like on screen. So the fixtures for January as it stands at the moment: Rochdale on the 1st, then Saturday the 8th, Middlesbrough at home, 12:15 kickoff in round 3 of the FA Cup. That's on TV overseas. Swindon at home on the 11th, 7:30 kickoff for that one. And then on Saturday the 15th, it's a home game against Walsall. Tuesday the 18th of January, my 31st birthday, was riddled in with a trip to Forest Green Rovers, 7:45 kickoff in that one. And then a trip to Barrow on Saturday the 22nd. Ending the month with a home game against Leyton Orient on Saturday the 29th. On with the quiz with question number 5. Finally, fans were allowed to attend football matches again, with fans flocking into Retford for a pre-season friendly. Clough's men treated them to a goal fest, bagging 9 goals. You can score 1 point per goal scorer. So name the goal scorers for me. And I'll give you a clue on this one. There aren't 9 goal scorers, because 3 players got a brace. So fans were allowed to attend football matches again, with fans flocking into Retford for a pre-season friendly. Clough's men treated them to a goal fest, bagging 9, 1 point per each correct goal scorer. Give you another 30 seconds on that. Question number 6 of 10. Who bagged a 90th minute penalty as the Stags beat Bristol Rovers on the opening day of the 2021-22 campaign? A nice and easy one for you there. Bit of a harder one though for you. Question number 7. Who has spent the majority of the calendar year on loan with Longford Town? Who has spent the majority of the calendar year on loan with Longford Town? Nathan's scratching his head. Clive's not sure. Clive's wishing he still had the cold.
I can't hear a thing.
Is Lyndon Meikle L-E or E-L?
Question number 8. Here it comes. Airsick Lover. Airsick Lover is an anagram of which transfer window loan croc? Airsick Lover is an anagram of which transfer window loan croc? AIRSICKLOVER. Airsick Lover.
Andy Ploversack.
Question number 9. No win, no Quinn has become a popular saying. For 2 points this season, name the 2 fixtures the Stags have won without Quinn in the side. Or, for 1 point, name the amount of games the Stags have failed to win without Quinn. So that only counts for, obviously, August onwards. So no win, no Quinn has become a popular saying so far this season. For 2 points, name the 2 fixtures the Stags have won without Stephen Quinn in the side. For 1 point, name the amount of games the Stags have failed to win without Quinn. I will give you 3 points if you get both. And finally, question 10. It's been a split year between sofa and stand, but on the presumption we watched every competitive game, excluding any added on time, so, 3 minutes for an injured player, 7 minutes for a flare, that sort of thing. Where did we watch more Stags action? Was it on the sofa or was it in the stands? It's been a split year between sofa and stand, but on the presumption we watched every competitive game and excluding any added on time, where did we watch more Stags action? Was it on the sofa or was it in the stands? So there concludes your 10 questions. Go on, Clive.
I was going to say, is that the end?
It is the end. I'm sure you'll be glad to hear. So if you're listening to the audio version of this now, we are going to run through the answers. If you're playing along, watching the live version, we're going to run through the answers as well. So please mark them as fairly and as equally as you can. And we'll jump back in with question number 1. Jordan Bowery grabbed the headlines with his first career hat-trick as the Sags kicked off the year with a 4-0 win. But who else scored, Nathan Edge?
George Lapsley?
Incorrect.
Yes.
Clive?
Clark.
Oh,
Yes, it was Ollie Clark. But who was it against for another point?
Newport.
Wrong, Nathan. Clive?
I can't remember.
Port Vale.
It was 2 points for Clive, no points for Nathan.
Is it bad that I wrote down Port Vale but just said Newport because I thought it was wrong?
Well, if you wrote it down,
Jesus Christ.
I will trust you, the fact that you wrote it down.
I can send a screenshot if you want. But
No, I believe you. I believe you. I believe you. So
I thought
if
it
you
was
wrote
wrong.
down,
So.
if it's written down, go for it. So there you go. Ollie Clark was the other goal scorer, and Bowery got his hat-trick, and Port, of course. Question 2. January and February saw the feeling of stop-start as game after game after game was postponed for a variety of reasons. But in that period, January and February, how many were postponed for 1 point? Clive?
5.
Correct. Bonus, Nathan, name the teams. I'll give you a clue. One team was twice. So there are actually only 4 teams.
I've only got Scunthorpe down.
Well, that's wrong as well.
Cheers.
No problem. Carlisle, Bolton twice, Walsall and Forest Green Rovers. So 1 point for Carlisle, only 1 point for Bolton, 1 point for Walsall and 1 point for Forest Green. Question 3. Between February and the start of April, the Stags only managed 2 wins. For 1 point, name the teams, Clive.
I did say Chelsea, but I've crossed it out because you didn't seem to take that answer very seriously. So I'm going to say Port Vale again.
Any other guesses? 2 teams?
I was going to give him a chance.
Oh, Nathan, go on then. You want to guess the other
I'm
one?
sure Port Vale was May, but I've just got Oldham and Northampton, just 2 guesses.
No, it was Morecambe and Cheltenham. So we beat Morecambe 1-0, which was the scoreline, and Cheltenham 3-1. So 1 point.
Chelsea was nearly right then, wasn't it?
No. No.
No, no more.
Nil point. If you played along at home and played it seriously, you get 1 point if you mentioned Morecambe, and you get 1 point if you mentioned Cheltenham. You get 2 points if you mentioned Morecambe 1-0 and Cheltenham 3-1, and you get 3 points if you said Morecambe 1-0 Jordan Bowery and Cheltenham 3-1, Jordan Bowery with 2 and Jamie Reid with the other. Well done if you got that. Question 4. The Stags ended 2020-2021 campaign with a 3-0 win over Port Vale. That's the game Nathan was thinking of. 1 point per player for the starting lineup. I'll whiz through these for you. Jamie Pardington, James Clark, James Perch, Ryan Sweeney, Stephen McLaughlin, George Maris, Ollie Clark, Stephen Quinn, George Lapsley, Tyree Sinclair, Jordan Bowery was the starting lineup. However, we'll forgive Nathan if he didn't manage to remember any of them, because, Nathan, what happened on that day?
Yeah, it's the day my son was born.
And you forgot to name him.
I'm
Stephen,
still listening.
That is actually true. That is true. I'll give you some bonus points because there will be some people out there who may have written down the subs as well. The used subs on that day were Jason Law, Harry Charlesley, Jamie Reid, Keaton Ward and Jaden Charles. And unused were Aidan Stone and Kel Gordon. So there you go. Question: did you get any of them, Clive, by the way?
6.
Well done, Nathan.
6.
Any of them? Well, fair play. Fair play to you. Hello,
I
Harry.
lost 5 until you gave me a
Help
sub.
you. Harry the dog has just broken into the podcast studio. Hi, Harry. Hope you're all right, bud. Maybe there's a firework that's gone off. That's probably why he's running around. Question number, what are we on? 6? I'm distracted by the dog, sorry.
Yeah.
Question 6. Question 5, sorry. Finally, fans were allowed to attend football matches again, with fans flocking into Retford for a pre-season friendly. Clough's men treated them to a goal fest, bagging 9, 1 point for each. Name the goal scorers. You could have had Ollie Hawkins, Stephen Quinn, Danny Johnson got 2, Jimmy Knowles, Nathan Kane got 2, and Tyree Sinclair also got 2.
Thank you.
Well done if you managed to get them.
So is it 1 point even though they scored 2 goals?
Yes.
Okay.
So Hawkins, Quinn, Johnson, Knowles, Kane and Sinclair were the goal scorers, 1 point each. Who bagged a 90th minute penalty as the Stags beat Bristol Rovers on the opening day of the 21-22 campaign? Nathan?
Danny Johnson.
Correct answer. Question 7. Who has spent the majority of the calendar year on loan with Longford Town? Clive?
Jimmy Knowles.
No. Nathan?
Aaron O'Driscoll.
Aaron O'Driscoll is correct. Well done. Who, by the way, should be back, but I doubt we'll see him in a Stag shit. Because their season, I think, is a calendar year rather than a half and half.
They also on Twitter said they are looking to sign Aaron O'Driscoll on a permanent.
Interesting. His contract, I believe, will be up at the end of the season, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with that one. Airsick Lover, question 8. Airsick Lover, an anagram of which transfer window loan croc? Clive?
Don't know.
Oh, I've got it.
Nathan, go on, get it written down quick.
Can I have it now?
Go on then. If you get it right,
It's
I'll
not
give it
written
you.
down, but can I have it? I think I've got it.
If you get it right, I'll give it you.
Oliver Sarkic.
It is Oliver Sarkic. Well done. I'll give you that.
Yes.
No win, no Quinn. No win, no Quinn has become a popular saying for question 9. But for 1 point, name the amount of games the Stags have failed to win without Quinn, Clive?
5.
This season. 5, Nathan?
I'm going with 4.
It's 9. Add them together, you get 9. And for 2 points, name the fixtures the Stags have won without Quinn in the side. You have to get them both right to get the points. So name the 2 fixtures the Stags have won without Quinn in the side. Newcastle under 23s, and of course the most recent game, Hartlepool. So 2 points, but only if you get them both. Question 10. It's been a split year between sofa and stand, but on the presumption we watched every competitive game and excluding any added on time for things like flares and pitch invasions and injuries, where did we watch more Stags action? Was it on the sofa or in the stand? Nathan, your guess?
In the stands, I think.
Clive, your guess?
Sofa.
One of you is right. I can tell you that much. One of you is right. The person who is right by half an hour is Clive.
Oh.
According to my researchers' calculations, 2,460 minutes, obviously excluding any additional time, for sofa. 2,430 minutes for stand.
Now, hold on a minute. I remember 45 minutes I follow went down. So that puts me in the lead by 15 minutes.
Get out of here.
I'm not buying that, but you've got no proof of it whatsoever. Got no proof of it whatsoever. So there you go. Have a little top up on your scores.
And don't forget, Martin's watching.
Yeah, he'll
Yeah,
remember.
so-
That's my evidence. Come on,
Yeah,
I'll be a
he'll
Martin,
remember
like
it
you with
didn't.
Southend.
Remember, it didn't happen. Right, anyway, Nathan, have a little top up of your scores. How many have you got?
I think I've got a very poor 16.
Oh, Nathan's on 16. Clive?
A mediocre 18.
Oh, well done to Clive, who takes this year's That Was 2021 Quiz Champion title. For it, you win the mug, which you've already got.
Thank you very much.
If you were playing along at home, well done. Let us know in the comments or on social media if you listen to the audio version of this how many you scored. And I hope that was a nice little bit of fun for you. That's almost time. All we've got time for on tonight's end of year recap. But first, I'm going to see how much you can remember. What are your highlights and lowlights of 2021? Nathan, I'll come to you first.
Well, there could be two highlights that I've clearly missed. So it could have been Doncaster, obviously not. Could have been Hartlepool, obviously not. Maybe the trick is for me to not be here. But the highlight has got to be for me is probably Sunderland away. Still, I've just great away day, so that's still my highlight at the moment.
Clive, what about you? What highlights would you take from this year?
I think the win at Crawley. I think it was hard won and worthy of the effort the team made.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. I think we've put some good results. And I think the highlight's definitely been obviously getting back into the stands and what have you, which is much needed. But I think,
I have to say, it comes a close run thing though with the win at Doncaster. That was
yes,
that was emotional for a different reason, obviously.
yeah.
Low light, Quinn's multi-match ban.
Yes, that was a big struggle, big struggle. And of course, not being able to see out sort of last season and it going on for so long. But another highlight for you, Nathan, will be the fact that you still haven't put Stephen in Oliver's name. I'm disappointed in that.
Yeah, I think I remember that Port Vale game. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I remember sitting in the hospital, annoying Emma with the sorry, Marty, if you're still watching, but she wasn't too best pleased with her and your voice and Marty and Dean. While she's basically going into labour, but you got to do what you got to do. But yeah, and obviously the two Stevens chipping in to make it a memorable day for everyone. But that'll obviously be a highlight, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopes for 2022. We're in a good position league-wise. Barrow and Oldham and Swindon and Stevenage, the two games which are taking place tonight, kick off in about 15 minutes' time as we speak on this live show. They're the only two games remaining from a full fixture programme tonight. As it is at the minute, we sit in 9th place, 32 points, 3 points off of the Sky Bet League 2 playoffs. What are your hopes, Clive, for going into the new calendar year?
Well, against all odds, against all expectation of a few months ago, I'm looking forward to us breaking into the playoff zone.
Yes, Nathan, what about you? What are you hoping for the new calendar year?
Yeah, obviously I'd take that, but just enjoy the season anyway. Just at least we are in a much better position. We're not looking over our shoulders now. But for me, we don't know what's going to happen over the next few weeks, but I'm hoping we can at least carry on attending. Yeah, I'm not very hopeful of it at the moment, but fingers crossed. Things settle down virus-wise, and we don't have to go back to watching on the sofa. Although I did enjoy our podcast, but I'd rather be there in the stand. So that's
yeah, but we've got the Sunday sermon to make up for it now, even though we've not done one for the entirety of December, just because of availability. But that will come back in January now that you're back in the country. Clive's back off his deathbed, and I'm not running around having to try and sort various other bits and bobs out. So the podcast predictions will continue, and the Sunday sermon will be back as well. And speaking of podcast predictions, I've not put the scores in for Boxing Day yet. I will do that and update the table later on. But just in case we do, Clive, take on Rochdale on New Year's Day, I very much doubt it. But in case we do, let's have our podcast predictions from you.
1-1.
And a goal
Bowery.
scorer? Jordan Bowery. Nathan, how will we kick
Clive.
off the new year?
We don't do draws these days. It's either a win or a win, isn't it? So go for a 2-1 victory. And I'm going to go for... He's not going to be back, is he? I never said Reece Oakes then. It's hard knowing who's going to be available. I'm going to go for Ollie Hawkins and... no Stephen McLaughlin, no Stephen Quinn.
Stephen McLaughlin played.
So, McLaughlin, yeah.
Stephen
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin. I am going to be uber optimistic and say we will win 2-0, keep a clean sheet, and we will sign John Joe O'Toole in that time, and he will score. And the other goal will come from the midfield with a rocket, absolute thunder twonk from George Maris again. I think he's got another one in his locker. If you want to play along with podcast predictions, the link is in the description. We'll put it on our social media as well. A few people have been messaging and asking what's happening with the 12 mugs of Mugsmas. If I'm being completely honest, I've not had any time to sit through and go through the answers. You guys have been fantastic. I have got a bit of time tonight, though, now that we've not got a game. So I'm going to go through them this evening and tomorrow morning, and we will reveal the answers and I'll be in touch over the coming days, and we'll start sending some mugs out over the first week of New Year as well. All that's left for me to say to Clive and Nathan is thanks, as always, for joining me and for getting involved this year. It's been absolutely epic to see how much the podcast has grown. With you guys getting involved as well, and we still managed to keep smashing it, and we'll do it in 2022 even more so. That is all we've got time for tonight, or is it? No, we've got one last thing for you guys to enjoy, and it is the story of a Boxing Day classic where the Stags came from 2 goals down to overturn Hartlepool United and win 3-2, ending the calendar year as it started with a victory. Even better, though, was the fact that the fans were in there in the stadium to witness it. What lets this down a little bit is the fact that I forgot to press stop at the end of my recording in the second half and corrupted the clean file, which means I've had to take the other file, which doesn't include live goals.
Happy New Year, Craig.
But yes, Merry Christmas to me. Happy New Year to you. Sit back and enjoy the tale of Boxing Day and a Boxing Day classic as played out on Mansfield 103.2.
Good afternoon and welcome to One Call Stadium, where the fog is certainly setting in over the top of the pitch. But can Mansfield Town fight through it this afternoon and get 3 points as they return to action for the first time in 15 days? The Stags have made 2 changes from that game. John Joe O'Toole comes in alongside Jason Law. George Lapsley and Stephen Quinn go out. Lapsley and Quinn amongst 4 players unavailable today. We think it was going to be a 4-5-1 this afternoon, with Nathan Bishop in goal, Elliot Hewitt at right back, Ollie Hawkins and Farron Rawson at centre half, with Stephen McLaughlin at left back. A midfield 5 then consisting right to left of Jordan Bowery, George Maris, John Joe O'Toole, who will sit in front of that back 4, Ryan Stirk and Jason Law, with Reece Oakes, the former Hartlepool man, leading the line up top. On the bench, a very depleted bench: Marek Steck, the goalkeeper, the outfield players Ryan Burke, Tyree Sinclair, Keaton Ward and James Gale.
So we were talking utter dominance of Mansfield Town over Hartlepool United, so it had to happen, didn't it? Craig Priest.
Yes, when you're knocking on your own door, sometimes you leave your own house exposed, and Mansfield were well and truly burgled Home Alone style, as on 24 minutes a ball from the left hand side cut open Mansfield Town's defence, and Luke Molyneux was there to strike home his 5th goal of the campaign for Hartlepool. Mansfield Town 0, Hartlepool United 1.
To be fair, it's the first time they've been in Mansfield's half. You know, it's absolutely terrible, but we talked about, you know, when you play against Mansfield, you want runners that can get down the sides of the centre halves. And they had a player went down the side of the centre half, held the ball up well, brought a player into play, simple ball across. And to be fair to the Hartlepool, it was a great finish, a great left foot finish. But you know, this is what I'm saying. When Mansfield's been dominant so much in this game for 25 minutes, And then, to get a sucker punch like that, but they've got to get back into this game. They've got to get back onto the roll, get back pressing, keep back doing what they're doing right, and they'll get back into this game.
All I can see is the outlines of bodies and the luminous ball, which again is not that luminous in that thick fog. Thank God for the scoreboard on that far side, giving a little bit of light to try and see what happens here. I believe there are 2 Hartlepool men over this who will deliver the ball in towards the area. It's on the left-hand side. It's a left-footed ball in towards the mixer. Bishop is up. He's dropped the ball. Ball still running loose. Hartlepool can get a shot away here again, and they've scored again. The ball ran free to the edge of the area, and Nicky Featherstone was there to drill the ball into the back of the net with 50 minutes on the clock. That is a blow and a half for Mansfield Town, who just got caught up in the mix.
Yeah, it's absolutely a nightmare. I mean, the ball's got crossed. Bish has got to do better. He's dropped the ball. The ball's got played out. He's then pulled off a really good save from his mistake. He's come back out, and we just talked about how good Featherstone is. He's in the right place, and he's drilled home. That's a right body blow for Mansfield. In the game where they've dominated, they've been on top, and they're 2-0 down. They've had 2 shots on goal, but this is what it's about. We talk about staying in the game, and they've got a mountain to climb now.
John Joe O'Toole rising high to nod home George Maris's 10th corner of the afternoon on 55 minutes gives Mansfield Town some much needed Boxing Day hope. Great delivery, and O'Toole exactly where he wants him, Lee Wilson.
Absolutely. It's just what Mansfield needed to get after going 2-0 down. Another corner, and finally we got that delivery in, and that go on Reese.
Here's Oates to the left of the area trying to get Mansfield back in the game. Oates gives it across to Maris. Maris needs to find some space across wide. It comes to Hewitt, who's to shoot, ball in towards the middle, flashes wide of goal.
Yeah, wrong choice that from Hewitt. He should have delivered the ball. But finally, we've got, like I say, we're talking about 9th or 10th corner, whatever it was, and we've got that goal. The fans are behind us again. 55 minutes to go, so you got a good 35 minutes. Come on, we're in this game again.
The next 5 minutes is absolutely pivotal for Mansfield. If they can get a goal and find an opening, this crowd will get behind them, and they could go on to win it.
Maybe I'm too emotional.
Mansfield 103.2, the home of great music. Olivia Rodrigo, and good for you. I think there's been an equaliser at One Call Stadium. Craig Priest.
Cometh the hour, cometh Jordan Bowery to head Mansfield back into the game after excellent work down the right-hand side from Reece Oates and Elliot Hewitt. The fog now is in danger of really putting pay to this game, but Mansfield Town, from 2 goals down, are determined to fight for every single ball. Lee Wilson, incredible scenes. 2-2.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I think Reece Oates had a little bit of a word in his ear from Nigel Clough at half-time, say, come on, you're playing against your ex-club, I think you're bottling it a little bit, and he's come out this half and he's done a lot better. And Jordan Bowery's done okay as well. He's done really well. He's got his goal deserved. Great play, great ball, great equaliser, and it's nothing more than we deserve. And there's half an hour to go. It's there for us now. Come on.
This is unbelievable. Mansfield 103.2, the home of great music. I've just had Lee Wilson screaming down my ears, get Queen off, get Freddie off. We've scored again. Craig Priest.
George Maris, the hero, turning things around. His 11th corner of the game was headed away, and then excellent work on that far side from Law to set Maris again. Dropped his shoulder, dropped his man, had a go, and curled the ball into the top bins in front of the Stags fans. Mansfield Town 3, Hartlepool United 2. Incredible stuff.
Absolutely fantastic from Mansfield there. They've been on top all the time. George Maris, it's been a really good game. Great ball. He actually thought it was a cross, but what a great area. He's gone for the far corner for the cross, and it's gone into net. It's nothing what Mansfield deserve. 3-2. Come on, you Stags.
Oh, Mansfield Town now are absolutely bouncing. This is an absolute game of epic proportions. Hartlepool United have had 2 shots, which resulted in 2 goals. Mansfield Town were rampant in that first half, but just couldn't find their finishing boost. Well, in front of the Stags fans, away to my right in front of the Quarry Lane stand, boy have they found them. First John Joe O'Toole, then Jordan Bowery, and then moments ago George Maris to set the place on fire. Everybody forward for Hartlepool inside the Mansfield half. It'll be a left-footed ball in some 50 yards from goal from that left touchline, and it goes towards the middle, and it's turned home, and Hartlepool United have pulled it level late in the game. A minute into 4 additional minutes. It's the Hartlepool United man who got away from his runner, but the flag is up for offside, and the goal will Mansfield hook count, and that is drama of the highest BAFTA winning order. I thought that Mansfield had thrown it away, but the linesman's flag comes to the rescue.
Absolutely. And I was there, he put that ball in, and I was thinking, come on, Bish, come and get this ball for us. And he looked a bit hesitant. And to be fair, it was such an easy tap-in. It was either really poor defending or offside. And luckily for us, it's offside. It's a scare. I mean, Nigel's there saying, what's going off here, sort it out and make sure we see it through now. Because for Mansfield to let 3 goals against Hartlepool, that would have been the 3rd shot on goal, which would have been absolutely a nightmare.
Ben Killip, the Hartlepool goalkeeper's in the Stags half. In it comes Long, into the Stags box, nodded down, Mansfield get it clear. And there, Ben Killip will chase after it. The whistle's still not gone. We've played 49 minutes. Killip just about keeps the ball alive. Hartlepool have the ball in possession. The referee brings a close to the epic game, which we have just seen unfold in front of us. And at full time, cop a load of this. Mansfield Town 3, Hartlepool United 2, and as classic Boxing Day football goes, this is as good as it gets.
Absolutely brilliant.
What a way to end a calendar year, eh? What a way to end a calendar year. That was the story of 2021. Hopefully for Mansfield Town, there is more to come when the new year dawns. Starting, hopefully, with a trip to Rochdale. COVID cases pending. COVID in both camps, of course. Highly doubt it'll be on. But if it is, make sure you tune in to Mansfield 103.2 for full match commentary and much more of that as the Stags look to get another 3 points on board. It's been a strange calendar year. It started off on the sofa, jumping up and down when Jordan Bowery scored his hat-trick, and it ended with bringing the house down as George Maris curled in that goal to complete a fantastic comeback against Hartlepool on Boxing Day. There's been departures, there's been arrivals, there's been frustrations, and there's been happiness. Through it all, we've been here on the Mansfield Matters podcast to follow the journey, win, lose or draw. None of that would be possible without your support. So from me and all of the rest of the Mansfield Matters boys, I want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you very much for following the journey, and make sure you stick with us when a new year dawns as well. Who knows what the rest of this season could play out to be? Could it be a promotion-winning one? Could it be a playoff charge? Could it be an FA Cup dream? There's much more of it to go, and we'll stick with it all the way. For now, though, enjoy the remainder of 2021. Cross your fingers that the game will be on at Rochdale. Get your tickets for Middlesbrough after that. And mainly, enjoy the rest of your time off over Christmas, and a happy new year to you all. It's been a pleasure to follow the journey in 2021. Memories were made, and I'm looking forward to making yet more memories when a new year dawns. From me and from all of the rest of the Mansfield Matters team, have a fantastic remainder of 21, and we'll see you on the other side in 2022. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters.